Hello, this is Tom, aka Gedeon here for Tabletop Tap Room. And we're looking at the future of how the hobby is going to be grouped. And up till now, it's kind of been like, it's kind of felt like two camps that you had the OSR and the 5e. But it's not been great divisions, because is the OSR 3.0, 3.5, 4E? Is it Pathfinder? Is it Pathfinder 1? Is it Pathfinder 2? These things haven't really felt like they were truly OSR. And what is the OSR? Is it the old school revival or the old school renaissance or old school rules? So it's the divisions, to me at least, have not felt very clear. And I think we have some, there are two vloggers now who have proposed two different sets of titles and divisions on what you're going to see, particularly because of the ONE D&D and what's about to happen. And the first is Questing Beasts, and he just did a video that came out, and I'll put a link in the show notes. D&D doesn't need WotC anymore. And I thought, well, that's a provocative title, so I watched it. Now, what he is proposing is that you're going to have folk D&D and official D&D. Now, right away, you probably got what official D&D is, but folk D&D, is an activity you do on your own terms, as he defines it. The rules used are idiosyncratic, and they evolve, and they're particular to the group, and the people using them are not concerned with what the official state of the rules are, because tweaking them is part of the game. And 5e is not any more real or authoritative than anything that they make up themselves. So folk D&D definitely embraces the OSR crowd, but it also embraces anybody doing Pathfinder, whether it be 1 or whether it be 2. And even, God help us, even somebody playing 4E, which I know got really panned badly. But so folk D&D is going to be this one group, and then you're going to have the official D&D people. Now, the official D&D people, they see D&D as the brand currently owned by WotC, and the books and errata are normative, and they are a unifying influence on the D&D community. So there are people who are like, no, it's 5e must be, but and there's a lot of uneasiness right now because they don't know what's going to happen with ONE D&D. And when ONE D&D comes out, that will be the official D&D. So that's Questing Beasts' two categories. But I also like Professor Dungeon Master. Now, Professor Dungeon Master just did a video, and I'll put that link in the show notes, on how WotC will monetize D&D. And in here, he talks about two categories. He talks about analog D&D and digital D&D, because ONE D&D is definitely going digital. And so you're going to see people who are gonna, they're gonna go right over. And I'm sure that there are people, like he points out, that are going to be like, no, I'll stick with 5e. They won't stick with 5e for long once one person in their group crosses over to ONE D&D. Just the fear of missing out, as he puts it, will force them to go over. So you'll have these two divisions of analog D&D, which we get what he means by that, rolling the dice. You got the old rule books, open them up, and then digital. Now, here's my thing. I feel like folk D&D, you almost have to explain it for people to get it. But official D&D or digital D&D, people get those labels right away. And analog D&D, that's another label people get. But I feel like the problem with analog D&D, and I really love Professor Dungeon Master's videos a lot, but I think the analog label misses out on it, because I know when I do a lot of game playing via StreamYard, and there are people doing it via Zoom and virtual tabletops, and they're not going to be official, and they're not, but are they digital? But they're not really digital because they're not ONE D&D. So I feel like analog is not a label that's going to apply to somebody like myself who's doing a lot digitally, obviously, because we're doing StreamYard to play. But folk really does embrace that. And folk actually embraces all those groups who don't necessarily fit in with the OSR, the 3.5 and the Pathfinders and it's soon going to be the 5e people who are we're sticking the 5e and that's it. And we're not doing this one. You're going to have those people, and the folk D&D will embrace all of these groups. So I feel like this is the stronger term, but I don't know if it'll catch on just because you have to explain it so much. And I love the analog versus digital of Professor Dungeon Master, but I don't know if they're that accurate. But these are the terms being floated by some popular vloggers, and I definitely like all four of them, but I feel like Questing Beast maybe has coined the better terms. I just don't know if folk D&D is going to catch on as a term that people are going to gravitate towards it. I got a feeling analog is but it's going to leave something behind. I have a feeling it will leave something behind, just for somebody like myself. So these are where the terms are going. The OSR is not going anywhere. It'll still be out there. It'll still be used. I think there are people who are still so committed to it. They're going to be like folk D&D, whatever. And the OSR is still going to be the OSR. But I think these other terms are much more inclusive of the hobby, especially folk, because I think it embraces a wider group, including the OSR, including the 5e people who are about to be abandoned, the Pathfinder people, whether it's first or second. So it's this is where it's going. But I don't know what terms are going to become the currency, the common currency. So, let me know what you think. The comments below. But this is definitely, I feel, where the hobby's going on the perspective of what camp you're sitting in, whether it's folk, official, digital, or analog. It's somewhere in there, somewhere in that Venn diagram. So until then, this is Tom for Tabletop Tap Room. Thank you for watching my video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And if you have not subscribed, please do consider hitting the subscribe, like, and bell icon. Help me build the channel and keep on playing.